It is time now to bring in our State House insiders. Dave Wilson, our Republican strategist, Antoine Seawright, our Democratic strategist. Late today on Capitol Hill, House members passing the so-called Big Beautiful Bill. It is going to increase the deficit, according to some estimates, by about $3.4 trillion over 10 years. But it's going to make the 2017 income tax cuts permanent, no taxes on tips, and no taxes on overtime. Also, some nationwide Medicaid work requirements will be kicking in about a year and a half, January of 27, requiring able-bodied Medicaid recipients to work at least 80 hours a month unless they qualify for an exemption such as being a student, a caregiver, or having a disability. With that said, I know there was a lot of opposition, Antoine, by Democrats on the Big Beautiful Bill. What's your reaction tonight?
Well, the GOP tax scam 2.0, better known as the Big Ugly Bill, will be a disaster for America. The largest cut to supplemental nutrition assistance programs in the history of this country. That's already averaged out to $6 a day. You'll see a cut there. It will kick off 16 million people from the healthcare rolls. In South Carolina, that number comes out to be roughly 287,000 people, not to mention the healthcare clinics that will close, deductibles will increase, co-pays that will increase. So it will be a disaster for America, only to reward the top 0.1% wealthiest, well-off, and well-connected in this country. It's fine that everyone in the South Carolina congressional delegation voted for the legislation except Jim Clyburn, but there will be a political consequence to those who voted for it around the country. And I welcome the dialogue from my good friend Dave Wilson, because I'm sure he's going to tell me everything that Republicans have been saying in Washington, which all the experts have already diluted and said that they're simply not the truth.
This is the one time I'm not going to butt Antoine you on this one. I have never been a fan of huge pieces of legislation with hundreds and thousands of pages. If we're going to actually begin to address issues, we need to start addressing them. Congress needs to be able to get in there and do their job and start addressing them on an individual basis. My greatest concern, JR, are the Easter eggs that are going to be in there that somewhere along the way we're going to find out, because that's not necessarily a way to manage through an entire legislative process. And so when we look at this, we don't know what the consequences are going to be. And that's why you've had some members who have been pushing back against this. But welcome to the beginning of the 6 months of the Trump administration. And this is exactly what the Republican leadership in Washington under Donald Trump has been asking for. So we'll have to see how it plays itself out.
Well, what I will say is that we know from the experts that 300,000 rural hospitals will close, 1.8 million people in rural America will lose their health care. We also know that the burden that will be the unfunded mandate will be passed down to states like South Carolina to fill the gaps when it comes to SNAP benefits being cut, et cetera. So that's going to force the Republican-controlled General Assembly to fund a mandate from the Republican-controlled federal government in Washington.
Something else making headlines, guys. Andre Bauer, the former lieutenant governor, says he's going to challenge Lindsey Graham for the Republican nomination next year in the race for U.S. Senate. Dave, does he have a shot?
I think he definitely does have a shot. When you start taking a look at the fact that you have Republican voters who are not supportive necessarily of the MAGA movement, but they are definitely in support of Republican principles, they're going to start taking a look at this, because the interesting thing that you're looking at here is Lindsey Graham has already the endorsement of Donald Trump. But you then have on the other side, Andre Bauer, who was supporting Donald Trump back in 2024, coming out there. And his ad is basically a Donald Trump ad right now. So they're going to be competing for who is closer to the MAGA movement, because the MAGA movement is definitely not with Lindsey Graham.
I think the challenge with Republicans is life after Donald Trump. Who knows what that's actually going to mean? There are people planning for that. But I think on the left and the right, you're going to see primaries on both sides. There's a new crop or new generation of leadership who wants to test traditional leadership in the Democratic Party. Certainly that's the case in the Republican Party. So I think on both sides, you're going to see people having primary elections that are simply going to be a test case of their political strength and the political future of both the Democratic Party and the Republican Party.
And we're seeing that, JR, on both sides. We're not only seeing it in that race, we're seeing it across the board, because a whole new generation of leadership is now beginning to step up into positions now. You've got somebody like a Josh Kimbrell or Jermaine Johnson, even Alan Wilson, all of whom are younger than the current crop of leadership that we have right now. That's going to be a big factor, I think, that plays into us in 2026.
And Antoine, Gavin Newsom, California Governor Gavin Newsom, coming to South Carolina next week for a couple of days. He's going to be in the PD, the Midlands, the Upstate. Is this a hint that he could be running for president in 2028?
I certainly think it is. It's not the first time he's come to the Palmetto State. Everyone knows the road to heaven in the White House runs through South Carolina. And so you'll start to see other potential 2028ers come to the state. But I caution my 2028 thinking friends to worry about 2025 and 2026. I think you'll see traffic from the Republican side, Dave, of people who are thinking about running for president coming to the state with the open primary season on the Republican side as well. And so look for South Carolina to be the center of political gravity for the next couple of years.
That's exactly what we saw back in 2008 when it was a wide open primary. It was South Carolina that turned the tide for Barack Obama back in 08. And these are the things that we expect to happen. Gavin Newsom coming. Welcome to 2028, folks. It's time to start talking presidential politics again.
All right, Dave, Antoine, as usual, guys, thank you so very much.